Welcome back to our Super Sunday here for the NCAA Tournament. We have to add 8 more teams to the Sweet 16. Scintillating games yesterday across the board, close spreads, one big blowout, but overall another fantastic day. And we're looking for more here today. I'm Mike Randle. You can follow me on Twitter at Randle Rant. Thank you for joining us here at the Betting Pros live stream. Make sure to subscribe, put those questions in the chat. We will go through each one of these games here. Going to add some more props as well. Props did well yesterday. Holmgren under the 10.5. We saw Baycott because of the overtime. That crazy game with Baylor hit his over for rebounds as well. So the under on Holmgren, the over on Baycott. We're going to continue to move forward here. So we have some props, some sides, and we will break down each and every one of these 8 games. Hopefully get some winners to the window for you as we get ready to get to the Sweet 16. As always, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out bettingpros.com for all the fantastic information. We have articles and everything that you would want here to get the critical insight as you make your picks. Have about an hour here to go for the first game, so let's take a look. First one up, number 5, Houston is favored by 3.5 over number 4, Illinois. Illinois barely escaped Chattanooga, and Houston looks like an incredibly impressive team this year, even after losing Marcus Sasser and Draymond Mark to injuries. They have no experience from last year. They have a ton of experience from last year, and I get it. My initial reaction when I saw this line when it opened was Illinois was actually getting 4.5. And my initial reaction was, can I get 4.5 points with the higher seed, with Kofi Cockburn inside as the Big Ten regular season co-champ? Got to do it, right? Well, let's dive deeper. Kelvin Sampson versus non-conference teams while at Houston, 36 and 23, 61% per Bet Labs. Kelvin Sampson versus non-conference teams as a favorite while at Houston, 28 and 19, 59.6%. Kelvin Sampson versus non-conference as a favorite by between 0 and 6 points. So a slight favorite in a game against a non-conference, 12 and 4, 75% against the spread. Of those games in his last 8, Kelvin Sampson and Houston, 8-0 against the spread. Of those games in his last 11, 10 and 1 against the spread, Houston. Cougars this year, 23 and 12, 66% against the spread. Against non-conference, they were 10 and 4. And against the spread, the Cougars, in their last 9 games overall this year, 8 and 1. Let's flip the script. Illinois against the spread in its last 10 games, 2 and 8. Illinois against the spread in the non-conference, 4 and 7. Look, there is no mathematical reason why you would take the Fighting Illini today. They didn't look great against Chattanooga. They didn't lead until the very end. Houston is strong defensively. They're making their threes. The metrics back it up. Their history against the spread backs it up. And the only way that they beat Chattanooga was Alfonso Plummer banging 3 threes there, even though they didn't shoot well as a team. Illinois' free throws, not great as well. Cockburn is terrible. They were just 13 to 22 against Chattanooga. The tough teams they've played with this year, they lost to Rutgers on the road. They lost to an inferior Michigan State team. They had 2 close wins in those games, but they didn't play well. They gave up 86 points to Ohio State at home. And heck, they even lost to Indiana, Illinois did, in the Big Ten tournament. Enough. I am laying the points here with Houston, minus 3.5. I cannot give you a reason to take Illinois. Maybe you're an Illini fan. Totally fine. I'm laying the points here with Houston. Everything leans to the Cougars making it Sweet 16 after their Final Four run last year. I do have a prop for this game, however. Kofi Cockburn under 19.5 points. Now, he's beaten this in 3 of 5, but this is a bad matchup with the Cougars inside. He's going to have to make his free throws, which he doesn't normally do. He's going to get more resistance today than he got against Chattanooga. Houston has experience playing against the bigs, going against Memphis and some of those bigs last night, which you saw what they did against Gonzaga. So my prop for this game, Kofi Cockburn under 19.5 points. We're going with Houston, and we're taking Cockburn under. Make sure to get those questions in the chat. We will get to them as we go through the entire stream here. Next up, number 2, Villanova, -5 versus number 7, Ohio State, -115 on DK. From John Ewing at BetMGM, 58% of the bets are on Villanova. Now listen, spreads of 5 or more points got shut out yesterday, 0-6. The Wildcats just 17, 15, and 2 against the spread this year, only 2 and 5 in their last 7 games. This is the issue. The Buckeyes are as healthy as they've been all season long. Kyle Young returned for the Buckeyes yesterday, looked tremendous. Had 9.7 rebounds against a good Loyola Chicago team, which, by the way, folks, plays a very similar game to Villanova, looking to shoot threes, slow pace, deliberate. Ohio State is built for this game. This is a coin get flip game. Nova plays at a slow delivered pace that's 345th in the country, but the Buckeyes have found ways to score when they're healthy. EJ Liddell should be the best player on the floor today. The only concern I have is if Villanova gets scalding hot from three, similar to what Providence did yesterday, and they go away and hide. I don't think it's happening with the Buckeyes, who are in a buy low spot right now. They're getting healthy. Zed Key even gave them a couple minutes yesterday, so he'll have another day to rest. I like the Buckeyes in this game. I'm going to take them. I can get them at plus 5.5, minus 110 on DK. I like that hook out there. We're going to take the Buckeyes plus 5.5, minus 110 on DK. I just think this is a spot here that you have to be careful. And if you go through the metrics and you go through and see what it looks like, I think it's a spot that you should grab the points. And look, I am going based off yesterday. When you look at yesterday and you look at what went on in the games, 5 points or more, those teams were getting, and they were playing very, very well. So in those situations, I ended up siding with them. Now, someone here that I actually do like in this game for a fantastic prop, someone that I think you should look at, he's been playing better of late, and that's Jermaine Samuels. His projection here is 10.5 points, minus 110 on DraftKings. So I'm going to go with Jermaine Samuels over his points, 10.5 against the Buckeyes today. I think Samuels is hot. He's been taking a back seat. I think the Buckeyes are going to concentrate on Gillespie, try to limit some of those outside plays, and I think Samuels can perform. So I'm going here with Jermaine Samuels over his 10.5 points at DK. Third game up, we'll take a look at number 2 Duke versus Michigan State. You can still get on this game 7 points on FanDuel, and that's where I'm going with the Spartans. Michigan State plus 7 versus Duke minus 110. How ironic would it be for Tom Izzo, a coach that Coach K has dominated historically, to end Coach K's career in the NCAA tournament? Over his career at Duke, Krzyzewski, 12-3. 80% record against the Michigan State legend. However, their last meeting, which was 2019, Spartans upset the Blue Devils 68-67 to reach the Final Four again as an underdog. Michigan State is a 7-point underdog, but has history on their side with Izzo. Now, where is the history if he can't beat Coach K? Very simple. In tournament games on one day of rest, Izzo Spartans 23-6. That's 79%. This Duke team has struggled to find consistency all season long, and they have been less than impressive against the spread as well. Blue Devils 17-16-2, very mediocre, and have failed to cover in their last 5 games. Did not cover against Cal State Fullerton 2 days ago as well. Michigan State does struggle with the turnovers. They rank last in the Big Ten in offensive turnover percentage per KenPom, but the Blue Devils defense, they don't force turnovers. Duke doesn't force the turnovers and won't take them away. So therefore, that's taking away a huge obstacle. Gabe Brown, we'll get to him in a minute, 11.4 points per game, 37% from three-point range. Malik Hall, 43% from three-point range. And freshman Max Christie, almost 10 points a game. If they can get going and they can generate some offense, Michigan State should absolutely keep this game close and could upset Duke as well. Don't be surprised if you see Michigan State end Coach K's career. You saw them lose their last home game against North Carolina against Hubert Davis. You saw them lose the ACC tournament final against Virginia Tech, who was eliminated by Texas. And now he's going against his arch rival, who's been historically great on one day of rest. Michigan State plus 7, minus 110 on FanDuel. And Gabe Brown, I'm going with this prop. Gabe Brown was hot. He hit it for us yesterday. Over 9.5 points, minus 110 on DK. If you like Michigan State like I do, you have to bet the props consistently. And I'm going with Gabe Brown because I like the Spartans in this matchup. Next game, number 4, Wisconsin minus 4.5 versus number 11, Iowa State. First thing that jumped out to me here, folks, is the under at 126. We talked about Iowa State controlling pace against LSU. That's one of the games we really liked, and it worked out for us. I like the Cyclones in this game. This is a tough spot because the game is in Milwaukee, but Wisconsin didn't cover against Colgate in Milwaukee 2 days ago. So I'm going with Iowa State here. This is a slow, deliberate game. That was a nice win over a strong interior team. LSU, Iowa State did a great job against them, and their defense is tough. It is much harder, that LSU defense, than the Wisconsin defense this year, which really hasn't been fantastic. What's interesting about Wisconsin's great season, and it's been great under Greg Gard, is they're honestly not defending as well. Normally, they shoot the three well, and they defend well. That is not what's happening this year. In the Big Ten, Wisconsin is last in three-point shooting percentage. They were 14th out of 14 teams, 31%. Their defense also has been great. They were allowing 51% on the interior. This Iowa State team is a problem. They've had some big wins. They beat Memphis early in the year. They've played tough. I think 4.5 points is too much. I am absolutely going to take the points here with Iowa State getting 4.5. And I really like the under because I don't think Wisconsin's going to push the pace. And I think Iowa State is going to have their usual methodic game where they keep it close, hit some big shots. Maybe Wisconsin wins, but as we saw yesterday, 2 points, 3 points, very valuable here in the NCAA tournament. I am going to take Iowa State plus 4.5 and hit the under at 126. Number 3, Texas Tech minus 8 versus number 11, Notre Dame is the next game. Look, I think you know where I'm going with this game because it did well for us. The play-in game winner always gets hot, and number 11, Notre Dame, appears to fit that exact narrative. They escaped the double overtime battle with Rutgers, and they got that comfortable win, destroying Alabama 78-64. They faced the toughest test of the season with Mark Adams' Texas Tech Red Raiders team. Notre Dame will need to take a page out of TCU's playbook to find the success. TCU defeated Texas Tech 69-66 at home in late February. They won that game by shooting 38% from beyond the arc and competing with the Red Raiders on the boards. Now, the Irish can certainly shoot it. We know that. They're first overall in the ACC, 39.6%, almost 40% for the Irish from beyond the arc. But they're also top 50 in defensive rebounding, which you don't realize with Notre Dame. They rarely give their opponents second chances. Take a look at what happened with Alabama. They eventually separated. The Red Raiders are 22-13 Texas Tech against the spread this year, but that was really bolstered by a midseason run by Texas Tech where they covered 14 of their 16 games. Texas Tech, believe it or not, even after their massive win the other day, they failed to cover 5 of their last 7 contests. Notre Dame also decent against the spread, 19-15 this year, and they have covered the Irish 6 of their last 8 games. I am rolling with Notre Dame here as the hot playing game winner to keep this game close against Texas Tech. The money is coming in on Texas Tech, especially after their destruction. Notre Dame, people see them as a play-in team, so they don't like it. You can still get an 8 out there. I'm taking Notre Dame plus 8 minus 105 on DK. 3 games left. If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the chat. Next up, number 2, Auburn minus 7 versus number 10, Miami. It is always dangerous to fade Jimmy Larinaga from George Mason fame. He got his magic going and they upsetted number 7 seeded USC, even though USC is big on the interior and they like to crash the boards. 3-guard attack. Cam McGusty, Isaiah Wong, Charlie Moore combined for over 50 points in that opening round victory. They now face an Auburn team that sort of struggled to put Jacksonville State away. Weren't hitting some shots, got some threes late in the first half, and Jacksonville State actually kept it close, even though they are an inferior team to Miami. Miami's not going to fall victim to Auburn's pressure with those guards. They're 6th best in the nation in offensive turnover percentage per Ken Pom, and they should be able to turn the young Tigers over because they had an ACC best defensive turnover percentage. So here's Miami. Guard attack, don't turn the ball over, and turn other teams over. I think this is too many points to lay with a really well-coached Miami team. It's 7 minus 110 on FanDuel, and that's where I'm going to go. We're going to take Miami minus getting 7 on FanDuel there, and a prop that I really like today as well, Jordan Miller. You can get Jordan Miller of the Hurricanes over 6.5 rebounds, minus 115 on DK. I'm going to go with Jordan Miller there over on the rebounds. He is the fourth guard, sort of the four horsemen there in the backcourt, and he's had 2 games in the last 4 where he's grabbed double-digit rebounds. They're going to need him on the interior. They are weak on the boards. He does a tremendous job. Jordan Miller getting those rebounds on the interior today. I like that number as well going against the Auburn Tigers. Next, number 3, Purdue, minus 3.5. Depends where you see it, versus number 6, Texas. Listen, this is another head versus heart game. My heart says Illinois when I saw that line against Houston, but I looked at the math and I ended up taking Houston. In this game, my heart says Purdue. Purdue's better. They have the bigs inside. Zach Edey, Travion Williams. But my head says Texas. In fact, the money here is backing Texas, even though the majority of the bets are backing Purdue. You have some familiarity here in the Big Ten with Marcus Carr. Marcus Carr got called out there by Chris Beard, as did Timmy Allen, and they played very, very well in that game against Virginia Tech. Chris Beard in these tournaments is excellent. He does a superior job. Purdue has struggled defensively all year long. All year long, Purdue has struggled defensively. And so I'm going to go with Texas. I also love the under this in this game, which is getting absolutely no love. In this game, if you look at the total, people are jumping on the over. The money and the tickets are going to the over. It's 134.5. If I like Texas, I have to like the under in that one. So I'm going under 134.5 here. On the points, you can get that at FanDuel minus 110. And I like Texas getting 3.5. I think their defense will limit Purdue. Sasha Stefanovic for Purdue has not been anywhere near as effective from shooting on the outside. Purdue turns the ball over. Jaden Ivey has gotten careless. And Chris Beard in these matchups is superior. Give me Texas getting 3.5 points and give me the under in this game, both of which are contrarian plays to what the public is saying so far. Are we nuking Houston money line? Good question from Justin. I don't mind it, Justin. Why can't come up with a reason why you would take Illinois? I can't. The defense is there. You're going to tell me that Houston isn't going to make threes, even though they've made them the last few games? You're telling me that Illinois isn't going to turn the ball over? You're telling me that Kofi Cockburn is going to dominate inside? There's just no statistical reason to take Illinois. I'm fine with the Houston money line bet. If you're taking Illinois, you think they're going to hit threes against a good Houston defense, and you think Houston's offense is going to struggle. I just don't see it. There's no evidence here to why you wouldn't like Houston. Last game, number 1 Arizona minus 10 versus number 9 TCU. Horned Frogs are one of the few teams that can match the Wildcats on the interior. TCU is 52nd in average height and is number 1 overall in offensive rebounding. That's what you need to do against Arizona. Arizona could not pull away from Wright State. Grant Basile was actually scoring inside, getting a double-double. That is a concern to me with this Arizona team. I think TCU is going to provide a stiff test. No one is picking TCU in this game. They have the second tallest roster of the Wildcats, but TCU is up for the challenge. Don't forget, the Horned Frogs had great victories over Texas Tech and Kansas. We love them against Seton Hall in the first round. They were an underdog, which was insane. They came back and won that game outright by 20 points. Actually, 27. The Horned Frogs struggled to score from deep all year. That's why they had trouble in a lot of their games early on, but they've been hot of late. TCU, 15 of 38. That's almost 40% from deep over their last 3 contests. I love Arizona. Just like Kansas, they're going to find a way to advance, but 10 points is way too much, minus 115 on DK for TCU. The Horned Frogs have covered 7 of their last 10 games, and I think they cover again. These 8-9 games versus 1, always frisky, and that's what we have here. You're going to give me double digits after what we saw yesterday with a TCU team that's shooting only almost 40% from beyond the arc, that is well coached by Jamie Dixon, and is the best offensive rebounding team in the country. I will take that. Kirk Kreese is still not healthy, not playing great right now. They are going to come up with a plan. They're going to battle inside a little bit. They're going to keep this game close. TCU, a dangerous team that is big inside, that can rebound, and is shooting threes at a tremendous, tremendous rate. Christian here. Any teams you favor that might have potential foul trouble concerns going into today's slate? Here's the key. The first one off the bat, Christian, I'd say would be Houston. And I get that. But don't you think Illinois has some foul troubles in that game too? So that's another one that's a concern there. If you look at teams with short rotations, I would also say be very careful in the Villanova Ohio State game. It's almost like they're begging you to take Villanova, but Villanova is not deep. They can't really stop teams. You saw that against Creighton in the Big East tournament. Creighton, who, by the way, never shot threes well for the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden comes out yesterday and is bombing them from Kansas because they had nothing to lose. Villanova will keep you around. And so if they get into foul trouble and Ohio State's able to attack inside, get some foul trouble on Gillespie, get some foul trouble on some of their players, Justin Moore, they are like a Jenga puzzle, which is why I love the 5.5 with Ohio State today, because I think it can be very, very close inside. Other teams that have to be concerned with foul trouble, always Duke, of course. And I think Krzyzewski knows it, which is why he allows teams to get comfortable from the outside there. The one that I like today that I would be worried about foul trouble would be Iowa State. Iowa State on it playing essentially a road game at Milwaukee at Fiserv Forum against Wisconsin. The Cyclones can't afford to get in foul trouble. So if you see that going there and they get in some early foul trouble, you may want to hit the live line on Wisconsin. Folks, Betting Pros, it's where it's at. It's been a pleasure having 4 consecutive days with you making these picks. Let's have a great Sunday, everyone. We have some props, we have a couple totals, and we have some sides. Enjoy the games. Tip off in about an hour. So make sure you get your bets in here. BettingPros.com, folks. Mike Randle. We'll see you later in the week.